Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farooq Patafi. For past 2 days, we have been discussing the economy of the country, particularly with reference to IMF deal and now the amnesty scheme that was just announced yesterday. We are going to do exactly that today as well. And there are other ideas that are being floated in the media by the opinion leaders that maybe it is time that all political parties come together and agree on a charter of economy. At least we can agree on the fundamentals of economy. Today we are going to talk about all these matters and more. And in order to help us understand these issues, let me welcome Abdullah Yusuf Saab, former chairman, Federal Bureau of Revenue. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Next to him is Faisal Fateh, a regular in this show, an economist. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. An economist with an emphasis on capital markets. Let me emphasize that. Next to him is Fahim Sardar Saab, who is an economist with an emphasis on banking. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program as well. But while you have your expertise, you will be asked to comment on everything that I'm going to ask, right? Abdullah Yusuf Saab, let us start with the amnesty scheme. It is the 14th amnesty scheme that this country is seeing. This time, you had to cancel the previous one to start a new one. So what do you think is going to happen? What can we achieve through this, and what is different this time?
Okay, what I would like to actually say is that, as you have mentioned, we've been having these amnesty schemes in the past, and unfortunately, they have not achieved those desired objectives. We just collect certain amount of revenues, and the main objective, our objective is to basically broaden our tax base and substantially increase that, because we do have that potential, and at the moment we are not really having all those potential taxpayers in the list. So this particular amnesty scheme now, it is basically trying to once again get people on board. So whether you are having your assets and properties within the country or outside the country, you are being actually given this opportunity to come up, declare them, pay this tax, 4% for your local assets and 6% for your overseas assets, and that then will be actually accepted. You know, it's like from black economy to white economy.
Right.
And
or
that
informal to formal.
formal,
actually, yeah.
exactly. And that really is something which is of great help, I would say, to those potential people who should actually be on board.
But will they, sir?
Now, that is the point, and that's the question. Because as I said, in the past, historically, we haven't really achieved those objective targets.
Right.
Now, in my view, again, if we are just going to rely on this, you are not going to achieve your overall objective, which is that substantial enhancement of your taxpayer base, which is primarily going to be actually managed through systematization, through automation.
Right.
And CNIC is your sole identifier. On this basis, whatever is your information from all economic activity sources, you are supposed to collect that information.
Abdullah Yusuf, sir, thank you very much for raising this point, because I remember distinctly remember past 3 finance ministers saying that our CNIC number is going to be replace our NTN numbers, but it doesn't seem to happen. What is stopping them?
This is what I'm saying, that this is the now issue we have. The change is inevitable.
Yeah, but
from the
can you
national
explain
point of
why
view.
we have stopped?
Well, we are not actually, you see, it's a matter of implementation.
Right.
We have a lot of information. NADRA, for instance, has a huge lot of information.
It does.
And we are supposed to actually get that information and implement it move
Right.
forward.
Right.
And that
but-
is what we are not able to do so far.
Right, sir. But let me bring in Faisal Fateh as well, your comment on amnesty scheme. Especially one thing is for sure. It is another form of carrots that we are introducing. And the problem is that previously, whenever we came up with carrots, we forgot to use the stick afterwards. What is the assurance this time it is going to be different?
Okay, look, it is the 14th, right? I think it's the 14th
Yeah.
amnesty scheme, right? So of course,
I
they-
hope you're talking about the amnesty scheme because today is 15th otherwise.
Okay. We didn't have those many stakes, right? And because the
Why not?
credibility, if you look all over the world, right? Like Indonesia did almost, I think, so 4 amnesty schemes. The one amnesty scheme after maybe 10, 15 years. And the government is not relied upon those amnesty schemes to get revenue. Okay. Again, this time again, we have a shortfall of around 400 billion rupees in our revenue.
Right.
So the amnesty scheme and why we wanted it before the budget was to get some kind of a plug in that revenue shortfall. Right. Our amnesty schemes are mostly to get that revenue out of it. Right. Internationally, amnesty schemes are not like that.
Okay.
Okay.
They're meant
They
for
are-
documentation?
They meant for purely for documentation,
Okay.
right? And if you
But finance minister this time said, while launching this,
Right.
that this time we actually want to go for documentation.
Well, I think what's different this time is that the stick thing you have talked about, they have said that if you're not going to declare the assets,
Yeah.
and if the government finds out, it's going to confiscate it, right?
Okay.
You will not be given a chance to pay tax on it. All right, the whole property will get confiscated.
Right.
And second thing is this amnesty scheme, it is prolonged, it is for almost 1.5 years.
No, not this one, the previous one.
This one is also, I think, so it is for
No, it
maybe
is.
Yusuf Abdullah Sahab, but is it for 1 year? I
June
think?
30.
Yeah, June 30th is the date.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think originally they said that they're gonna take
remember.
it for. Okay. So if it is June 30th, I don't think so that you will be getting that much revenue out of it.
Okay.
Because June 30th
Not even
is,
documentation?
like June 30th is what, 1.5 month?
Yeah, but
That's-
it is end of the fiscal year.
Yeah, but again, you have to file all the documents, you have to send your money. You are talking about bringing that money from outside of Pakistan
No,
into
you're not
Pakistan.
supposed to bring money from abroad to here.
This,
If you have money in your in Pakistani bank, it is going to be 4%.
Right,
If it is abroad, it is going to be 6%.
6%, right?
Yeah.
So even to file for that and even deciding what rate would be, what rate of dollar would be, how to decide the value of that property.
Not a big
doing-
deal.
Trust me,
It can be
is-
done in 5
trust
minutes.
Trust me to send a payment through State Bank to FPR and then getting it back, that is 3 to 4 weeks process.
Okay.
Okay, for those people, I know
And-
few people who went
And you
through
can
the,
start on 30th
yeah.
of June. I mean, you file the papers and you're done.
Okay, okay.
It
Instead
is
of
not your lookout then.
okay, let's stop going into circles. I would just say.
No, I'm
one-
not going into circles. I'm just chasing you. You are going into circles. Okay.
The point of view, my point of view is it's too little of a time if it is for 6 weeks to get a lot of revenue, to get a lot of documentation in the economy. How you're going to implement that stake? How you're going to show that stake?
No, but here's the problem. When you say that you are going to introduce an amnesty scheme, it is for this period.
All right.
After that, when it ends, I'm going to do this.
All right.
And then you are supposed to follow through on that threat.
But
If
nobody
you haven't
does.
done it for 13 times,
Right.
I mean, I'm going to be emboldened. I'm going to say, okay, there will be a 15th. Then I will perhaps declare, right? This is the biggest concern right now. And one complicating factor is that the previous government, while it was going, I mean, in the last month, they introduced the amnesty scheme.
Again, because it was for revenue collection.
No, it wasn't. It was merely for actually creating some kind of space. Otherwise, nothing else. Let me go to Sardar Saab, Fahim Sardar Saab, your take, sir, on amnesty scheme.
This amnesty scheme, in my assessment, is a warning. Because if you look at what happened before, certain notices have been issued, certain notices have been prepared, not issued, and some things are being planned, they have not been executed yet. Pakistan is at a crossroads where, just to an international perspective, every country on earth wants their money back. You have America with FATCA, you have Europe with IATCA, Pakistan is coming up with its own kind of FATCA, in which every citizen of your country has to pay tax to that country. So this is not something which is new, or I mean, it's all linked. And at the same time, a country, Pakistan is a huge country, the 6th largest country on earth. It has 1.9 million supposed taxpayers. So you can just do the math, it's just not working out. You can't have a huge building on a tiny base.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the other way around. So my take on the tax amnesty scheme is this is a warning, and there is sufficient evidence for us to believe that the stick that you mentioned is pretty much ready to be used.
Okay.
Now, why am I saying this? Because I have to justify why I'm saying this.
But I have one follow-up question, and
Sure.
then you can say what you're saying. The follow-up question is, do we have enough laws and mechanisms to ensure follow-through? For example, if I'm not going to declare my assets and you are FBR, and then the limit actually lapses, then you are supposed to confiscate my assets? Do you have the kind of police that goes and takes it over?
If I'm not mistaken, this amnesty scheme covers those things, and I think there are enough laws in Pakistan to confiscate anything. We have enough laws that's not an
But
issue.
now they have already done that.
Okay. They have created new
Yeah,
laws?
There is a ordinance, the President ordinance,
Yeah.
which is now going to actually cover your, assets, etc. You will then be able to freeze
Okay.
under that law.
Okay.
That has been done actually now.
And frozen by whom?
Frozen, this is
By the
basically
government, by the
FBR,
FBR.
government,
Yeah.
by the
finance
FBR.
ministry, bank, who?
No, by FPR.
FPR.
By FBR. But does FBR have that kind of outreach?
I think it's in close coordination with the LEAs and with the
Okay,
ministries.
LEAs. Yeah, thank you very much. Now
Because-
you're talking about something tangible that I can see. On,
Look, it's a question of, it's a nail that needs to be hammered.
Yeah.
Either way, people pay taxes abroad. Our Pakistanis.
no, my
who-
question was about the hammer. Who's going to wield it and where's the hammer? That's it.
I think it's very clear that the government will wield it in different proportions.
Okay.
You will have different ministries that will have different
Yeah.
jurisdictions.
And that worries me because this body that you're talking about has many hands. And you don't know whether they are going to actually contest for wielding the hammer.
My guess, my calculated guess would be you've got FIA, NAB, and that will do the final mile.
FIA or NAB?
Yeah, because you see, if
Both are different.
No, because let's just run through this whole process. I would say let's do a cold test. If 30th June is the deadline and it passes, and let's say there is no extension, let's have hypothetically for the sake of an argument, let's just run through this. So that means anybody who has an asset that should be declared and has not declared it is in violation of all the laws of Pakistan, with specific reference to the amnesty scheme, with specific reference to the transparency laws,
Yeah.
and with specific reference to the taxation laws. So there you go, you've got three.
Different bodies actually coming after
Yeah,
you.
but all of them will, in my humble opinion, and I'm sure my colleagues can correct me if I'm wrong, it will eventually come to NAB and FIA.
Yeah, here's a question for you, Abdullah Saab. I remember those days when we had tax inspectors, people who would actually raid places. I mean, this is a common practice, happens in the US, happens in India, IRS and various other bodies. In Pakistan, we don't seem to have those tax inspectors. Where have they gone?
Actually, we have those inspectors, and as you said, they were the ones who would go from door to door and get hold of people and
Grab them.
their assets and
Yeah.
whatever. But then we actually wanted not to
Spook?
actually pressurize people who are your existing stakeholders, basically. Now, for that,
Ask them don't go to the taxpayers.
actually, this is what I feel because what happens is that it only leads to just you are just actually creating problems. You must understand
For whom, sir?
for the taxpayers.
No,
You
but-
are supposed to,
You are not sending tax inspector to the taxpayer.
Because-
You are sending him to a person who might not have disclosed his assets.
you are basically actually what unfortunately we do, it is not that you are sending it only for those people who are not in the tax net.
Okay.
Principally, that is what we want to achieve.
Yeah.
But then they always also go and exploit the position of the existing people also. The accounts are frozen, this we have done, etc., etc. Now, these kind of things are not in the interest, I would say, of the country.
Okay.
Because you have, there are, I feel, in my view, three major stakeholders in this effort of trying to mobilize the revenues.
So,
One is your government,
okay.
they have to actually have the maximum. Number two is your taxpayer,
Okay.
who has to be facilitated
Right.
so that he actually is attracted to further invest, bring more investment, because when you are going to have much more investment, you are going to actually then create that employment and then income and then taxes,
Naturally.
that
And
you are
they
supposed to
are
collect.
law-abiding citizens who are
Exactly.
actually contributing to economy.
So that is the other stakeholder, number two. And number three stakeholder that in my days that I thought we should also encourage is your own people, your employees.
Okay.
And we try to also facilitate them by actually doubling their salaries. That was a totally exceptional situation
Yeah,
in the government.
Okay.
So that was predominantly to try and encourage them also
To motivate them.
to
actually.
motivate them that look, we have to deliver, you have a responsibility, and you have to make sure that you are going to contribute. So all this effort is basically to try now to expand your taxpayer base substantially,
Right.
and that has to be achieved because without your actual tax, the potential taxpayer being in the net, how will you collect the taxes?
Okay. That is true. But Faisal, the question right now is, if the fear is that a tax inspector is going to spook the existing taxpayers, why not create an oversight mechanism? Why not create better laws where you forbid them to go and harass such people? And why not create a helpline rather than giving up on the idea of people who go and get what is due?
I think so. We have a lot of space. First of all, you have so much data available with you. Paral has so much data available with it. State Bank has it. Banks have it.
Paral has
Nadra
it.
has that.
Nadra has it.
Paral has it, but are we using Paral's
No.
data?
The issue is, and it's not just Pakistan-centric issue, right?
Yeah.
Let me be very, even in first world country, even in America, one agency doesn't talk to another agency, right? And if you want them to talk, you have to create a third agency,
Okay.
all right?
Yeah.
And the model that we see, like the latest example, what is happening, it's not specifically tax related, but what's happening in first world countries, what's happening in America. They have given that to private sector. So there's a company with the name of Bonjo.
Okay.
And what they are doing is they are getting all that data even from social media. It's not just specific from all this, all right? Even from feed coming from these safe city projects and stuff like that. And they are compiling that data, and you have enough computational power right now to get the patterns out of it. You
Okay.
don't need inspectors and give them a blanket
So
check.
you'll have to spy or hire a private eye to spy on your citizens to get the data.
You already spying. Look,
I mean,
no, wait.
You're
This
talking
where we
about cameras.
This is where we are going wrong.
okay,
We are talking about the data you already have.
okay.
All right.
So why do you
already
need cameras? You have banks,
okay.
their database.
Okay, that was. Let me put it this way. What they are doing is they are using it for law enforcement.
Okay.
So in America right now, they can, whenever a child is get abducted, using that system by Bonjo, they can
That is
recover it
totally a
within
different
15
story.
minutes.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to give you example of, that is something a private sector can do. It can bring all the data,
Okay.
Yes, we don't need, but we need data from FIA, we need data from airlines who is traveling abroad.
Okay.
We need data from banks who is having 3 credit cards, limits up to 500,000 rupees or more, right? We need data from your property dealers. All of that data, once that is combined, you have the computational power to see the patterns, to identify the people who are supposed to be paying taxes.
And so I've been hearing for past 10 years. What
But-
is stopping us?
That requires a lot of spending on infrastructure, that requires a will, that requires a vision. If you are going back to inspectors, to be very honest, again, that is what we have experienced.
Hang on. I'm all for automation. But
Right.
let's face it, machines are not going to raid your house or mine.
Of course
There
not.
will have to be some law enforcement agency. Why not give it to FBR rather than giving it to police or somebody else who doesn't even have the context and might use, I mean, you're asking somebody to hold their hands and they end up breaking them. You don't want that kind of situation either.
FBR whole incentive structure for FBR officers,
Yeah.
and there are no more field officers, not that many field officers, is based on how much recovery can they make.
Okay.
Right. So once you announce the amnesty schemes, those people who declare in amnesty schemes, you cannot recover from them.
Okay.
All right. So what is left are those people who have been paying their taxes at the due time, following the law. Right.
Okay.
So you keep on opening their audits.
No,
There
but
is no
You're missing a
incentive.
third tier.
There
People
is-
who are rich and yet
and
not paying.
and there is no incentive for FBR to go after them
Why not?
because you haven't created that structure. If you bring more
How
incentive
to
on
create that?
you can stop the incentives, giving them incentives by doing recoveries through those people who are already taxpayers, and incentives should be more from those people who are not, who don't even have an NTN.
Okay.
But come on, look at the culture as well. I don't want to go there, but half of your assembly
gone
doesn't
there
have a
already.
NTN, and like you don't need tax inspectors at this stage to
Why
go.
don't you want to go there?
Because I think with tax inspectors, you
No,
still
you said half of your assembly is not paying taxes or don't have NTN.
because it's like
Why
a
don't
writing.
you want to go there?
Because it's like a writing on the wall.
No,
right?
it is, but go there.
Right.
We have to, look, if you and I are paying taxes, if anybody is paying taxes in this country,
Right.
then everybody who has to pay taxes should pay taxes, right? And
That
if somebody is not paying it, we have the right to ask them, why
My
not?
simple point is you don't need inspectors specifically giving them blanket powers
Okay.
to reach these people who are not
So
paying taxes.
rely on automation and
Rely
buy
on
some
automation,
drones.
get the leads. No. Get the leads and then send the ground teams.
Okay.
Don't send the ground teams to assess whether this property,
And
what
who's
is
going to be the
value.
ground team?
That is, of course, you can have from FPR or any third party.
Okay.
Sir
You
might
can
be-
you can have a credit shark as well, who will go and sit inside the lobby of your house and say, "Give me money, or I'm going to not go away." Right?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Do you agree with that dystopian kind of an approach, Fahim
I was
Siddhartha?
just enjoying the discussion. I was like, look, there's this one word which we, I think, we talk about it and we need to hammer it again and again. It's called governance.
Okay.
We just need to revamp the governance structure. Pakistan is a big country. Pakistan is a big data country. Pakistan.
Can I add to the word that you want to hammer? One more word: imagination. We
Imagine.
need, big thinking as well, right? I mean, you have all the tools,
We have
but
all-
somehow you don't have the imagination to connect them.
I think we would, but we don't have maybe the political will to do it, because once you start to let go of this human algorithm, if you let go of this human algorithm and just do what needs to be done, then it's not going to differentiate, distinguish from
A to B
from
and C.
we all are equal and some are more equal than others. You see, it's just going to go for everyone in the same manner.
So why not?
Well, I guess we're going down that path, and I think that's going to happen at some
Another
point.
20, 30 years?
I don't know, but I don't
Because
think.
10 years ago we were
I,
talking precisely about this
I
thing.
wish we had that much time, but if you look at the stopwatch, it's
I mean,
you can clearly say that we don't
it's-
have time.
It is an intellectual feast talking to all of you. That you're saying, I wish we had that kind of time. We don't have that kind of time.
I don't think so, because you see, Pakistan is at I keep saying to people, we're at a crossroad. We're at a crossroad where we keep we're about to take off, then something happens and we have to make another landing. The other side, this is one side of the crossroad where eventually we will take off. We will be economically very intense. The other side is to give up. We can't give up, so that's not an option. I'm just bringing that up for academic purposes.
Right.
So, I mean,
Are you associated with think tanks as well, sir?
yes, I run a think tank,
Right.
which is...
So, Mike, I have
which
a
is-
question here.
I have to add, which is also a corporate advisor, so we give practical solutions, not theoretical solutions.
So, have you come up with some reports and books how to fix the entire system? I'm
Yes.
talking about a meta theory, not,
we do
not
actually.
merely micro theory. Yeah?
This is our quarterly review, which has.
It's
our
a
de-
micro theory. I'm
No,
talking about a meta theory.
It does start the process
Okay.
of what is essentially wrong. The first thing that we need to fix is hemorrhage. That's
Okay.
given on our page 28. But anyhow, what I'm saying, and I just want to add to what my esteemed colleagues have talked about, I think very lucidly, we have to choose. We have the solutions, we have the IT, we have the people, we have the data, we have the analytical capability.
Okay, choose between what and by V. What do you mean by V?
We have to choose one of the two roads. We're at a crossroad.
Okay.
One is a growth road, the other is you give up. So the growth road requires people
It
to
is
pay
a
attention.
rhetorical argument, right?
No, it's
Because
not.
you have to walk down the
It's Hobson's-
growth path.
To be very frank, it's Hobson's choice because
Yeah.
the other option
So
just
there's
doesn't
no
exist.
choice then,
So
right?
there you go. So that's good for us. We don't have any choice. We have to go down that path. If we have, at some point, I think we had 4 million taxpayers. Now we've got 1.9 million, and we're celebrating that. It says like celebrating mediocrity for some reason, which I don't understand. We're supposed to have 20 million taxpayers at least.
Right.
Imagine if we can generate so much, 4 to 4.5 trillion with 1.7 million taxpayers, 1.5 million taxpayers. Imagine what we would do with 10 million taxpayers.
I love this argument, but I feel that most of what you're saying, this number, is mostly extrapolation, right? I don't know whether we have seen the data, the kind of data we have. Sir, do we have any modicum of understanding how much of Pakistani business goes through banks and how much actually doesn't use banks at all? And it might be quite a lucrative business as well.
Actually, we have, our problem basically is cash economy, non-documented economy.
Right.
And
Which is not even based on banks.
No.
I mean, you don't you deposit the money into accounts.
no, you have your cash economy, you can just work in the cash account
Okay.
rather than the bank account.
Okay.
You do that in any case. And that is an issue that we have, a big issue.
And can
that
we
is-
look at the percentages? Do we
Actually,
have the percentages?
I can't say exactly what is the percentage right now, but basically if you look at your cash economy as compared to your regular economy, your cash economy is actually bigger than your routine. Now that is our unfortunate part,
Right.
and that is the challenge that we have.
Your informal sector is too informal.
Yeah, and they are very happy to be informal.
Okay.
They don't like to be very formal.
Right. We have to teach them the formalities, right, as a state.
So this is something which we really, really want to now focus on
Okay.
and really, really get down to this point.
Right.
And as I said, if we really move forward, we will definitely get the result also,
Right.
because it's this information that we are already having to a large extent,
So,
but we do also need to do more to get some more information as well.
okay.
And then you have to have an institution, a body. Now, for instance, this PRAL, which is there in the
Yeah.
FPR, they are having a lot of handicaps, I would say, and they are not able to deliver.
How? Why?
Because they are having constraints on technology. You want to really, really have a lot of system,
computers.
computer system, which then will actually enable you.
Maybe a neutral network.
Exactly. I feel that if you can actually
And you
get-
can help in that, right?
I feel that if you can get NADRA on board, in my view, they have a lot better actual information and the technology part.
And sir, imagine my frustration, and I imagine yours, that the previous finance minister the minister before him, the minister before him, and 5 ministers before him have been saying exactly that. But why is it that NADRA has not been actually commissioned to help here?
Actually, they have to really, this is what I'm saying, that you have to focus and you have to then decide and then get the implementation. We unfortunately have not been able to do that so far. We do talk about it. We do-
All 5 prime ministers so far in the
Yeah,
past?
we have actually
recently?
not really been able to implement this whole thing, because again there is also an issue of I don't know, vested interest, because
True.
when we are going to do this, this is all across the board.
Right.
Without you can get hold of him but leave him, it has to be done across the board.
Right.
If you are coming into that base of minimum income, then you are supposed to pay your
Right.
taxes.
Okay.
So you have to really, really now decide on this matter and focus on this issue, and then implement this issue
Right.
and get the output also.
By the way, we say that if you use machines as a yardstick to decide who pays and who doesn't, it is as if they are communist and they're not going to differentiate between people. It is very easy to insert algorithms to create exceptions. You can, create exceptions for 5 people, 10 people if you want to. So I think that people, those who are stopping this project from moving forward, might have some other interest. Not that I might actually fall in the category as well. Faisal, I want to actually move on and I want to talk about IMF's program. But if you want to actually add to what was said, please go ahead.
No, that's okay. Let's move
Okay.
on. I think.
Now, dollar has further appreciated against the rupee. Do we have any idea where it is going to stop?
It's really bad to speculate.
Yeah,
right,
and you represent
even if
capital markets.
Yes, and
Speculation is not good.
I'm not going to do that.
It doesn't help.
It's not going to help.
give me a
anybody.
lowdown. Give me an estimate.
I can give you the other side of the picture. Look, we have already devalued the rupee enough.
Okay.
Okay, more devaluation won't help you.
Okay.
All right, and this is what the part of IMF program I don't understand at all.
Okay.
On one hand, you want 80 billion rupees of more subsidy, because the thinking is with devaluation of rupee and the hike of interest rate and 400 to 600 billion more in taxes, you will have lot more people going below the poverty line.
All right. And
Right. This is
Hafiz,
what-
Hafiz Pasha Saab has actually said something of that sort today.
With 80 billion, you want from 100 billion to 180 billion increase
Right.
in your
Debts.
that income support program,
Right. Right.
And again, the thinking is people will go below poverty line. On the other hand, you want to have a market-based dollar which might spend it into a tailspin, God knows.
Yeah, but you
Because-
cannot spend more dollars to actually shore up the price of rupee. This is the argument. The state of Pakistan has been throwing away money just to stabilize rupee against dollar.
I think so. Still, State Bank could have open market operations. They
Okay.
could still inject money. They can
They won't.
manage.
They
no, my understanding is we don't have interbank rates, but you can still have market operations to stabilize currency.
Yeah, but
But that
my
may-
understanding is that idea of upper limit, lower limit is
Right.
gone.
Yeah, that is gone.
No more there. So now it's free floating.
I think that will have a lot of external variables to the price.
I love it when in the middle of program people start adding more variables to the discussion. But sir, do you have any idea where it is going to stop? 146?
I think so. It would be again. Not to speculate. I think so. It would stop at 148, 150 purely speculatively. It will have no benefit at all.
Okay.
I think so. It would be worse off because you're going to increase the electricity prices already, and 41% of your mix is on foreign fuel, on imported fuel. So you will further have to increase your utility prices.
Right.
And if you're taking away all these subsidies and you won't be able to give any kind of a subsidy to your exporters, or maybe even to manufacturers, your growth rate is going to come down.
But here's the thing. If you are saying that you are not going to give subsidies, the only reason is because there is shortfall, right, in revenue generation. There is a deficit, so to speak. Money that is spent by the government, especially PSDP, ADP, similar the kind of developmental expenditures, a lion's share of that goes into a wasteful expenditure, like buildings, like maintaining workforces, like maintaining their vehicles.
Look,
Who is going to actually cut down on that fact?
Look,
If you do
deficits-
that, maybe you don't need to remove or dismantle the subsidies that quickly.
Look, the deficits, when we talk about deficits, 360 billion to PIA,
Okay.
187 billion to steel mill, right, per year,
Yeah.
right?
So cut them
even,
down.
Even utility store, 14 billion. Even
Yeah.
smallest metro,
I
8
mean,
billion.
I'm against dragging in railway or
Okay.
utility stores
Okay,
because
let's
they
leave it out.
somehow function to take care of the poor.
Okay, let's leave that out. But still,
But PIA, of course. I mean,
360
or
billion.
PSM for that matter.
my contention with all of this argument is why we are so focused on revenue all the time. Economy.
You don't need money.
You need money, but revenue is just one cog in the whole economic structure.
Okay. What else is there?
The else is what is your long-term plan? How you're going to fix these public-state enterprises?
And what do you do
What you
when you
can-
have to pay to foreign lenders next month?
There is nothing you can do about it. You don't want to compromise on that. You don't want to compromise on your budget deficit, right? Sorry, on your budget spend, on your defense spending, right? This is what you say we are not going to touch.
Yeah, but defense spending has gone down already. I mean, it has
Let's
been
just say,
restructured.
let's just say, you cannot cut down other than on your public state enterprises or your PSDP.
Yeah.
Is there anything else left in the budget you can cut down on? No.
When you are going to spend in PSDP, the fact that the non-wasteful part of the PSDP, usually half of it lapses by the end of the year. So what is happening is the real money is not going into development. The real money is going into getting more cars and more buildings. And why not actually do away with that kind of wasteful?
Government get a lot of taxes out of it. Again, back it's a good circle. You know, you get some money out of that. You
No,
pay.
no, cars for the state.
I know.
For the staff of those projects.
But look, again, you talked about looking
Is
at
it
the
not
macro picture, not micro. So if you look
No,
at
I
that-
didn't say that macro, not micro. I was talking about meta theory. I was talking about a theory of all theories that might actually help us understand this. But you want to add to this? Sir?
I do. It's just the same thing. I'll repeat myself. Governance.
Yeah.
We have to focus on governance because
As a word, it is quite a beautiful word.
Well,
But you'll have to actually operationalize it.
I've
for
actually
us.
been a practitioner of governance, and look, it's just a question of what my colleagues have been talking about, that you have to decide now. We have to focus. We have to take the decision. We cannot allow the same old to be our new norm. Now, Pakistan cannot
I
afford that.
love what you're saying, but have you thought of running for public office?
Who, me?
Yeah, because most of
Yeah,
the
I have.
language
No, actually,
comes at us from the people who actually run for public office.
I actually
same
did-
old, of course not. But how do you operationalize this good thought?
I will be voting for him. I will vouch for him.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. It's very kind of
We
you.
might as
I'll have one more.
You got at least 3 votes. So go ahead.
I'll just sort of, I think if we have some time, I'll just run through a wish list, or let's say a plan which I would unfold at least. It's very simple. You have 6 ministries that are super critical for Pakistan, okay? And defense, interior, finance, commerce, industry,
Trade?
that comes under
Commerce,
commerce,
yeah.
that comes under
Commerce,
commerce, and foreign affairs. So I mean, when you take 3 of them out, that 3 are non-economic, 3 are economic, so you're left with a very small target.
Okay.
And you have to now look at the governance aspect of all of it,
Target of what?
of what to do, of what to hit.
Okay.
Because instead of dealing with symptoms, I would deal with the root issue. So when you focus on the critical areas, the super critical areas, you get more impact. What is the issue right now? We need to generate more revenue. We need to cut down on our expenditures. It's as simple as that.
But
They're
you
not.
have somebody on the panel who says you're obsessed with revenue. Start doing that actually.
So I'll balance that out by saying that, okay, I want to have more revenue.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Pakistan has to look at its expenditures and revenue. You have to sort of go down to the DNA. Where is it coming from? And why is it not coming? Or why is it exaggerated in expenditures? We have to take some very difficult decisions. And I will repeat what I said earlier, what I call the human algorithm, which Abdullah Saab, I think, he was very categorical about it, that there will be no differentiation because this person will be, audited, this person will not be audited.
Yeah.
Once it's across the board, once that human algorithm is let loose, then it will scour, it will scan the country.
No, but you're talking about revenue collection, right? What I'm saying is spending. You have to actually look at spending as well and have a very detailed audit where things might be going wrong.
Okay.
If I, dispatch this much money, and by the end of year, the funds are being lapsed, they're coming back to me. And in the middle of that, I realized that 90% of that money has gone to wasteful expenditure. Should I not be concerned?
You should be.
Should I cut down on that?
We should all be very concerned, and it is a fact, adding to what you're saying, that the Planning Commission does not filter everything anymore.
Okay.
They used to filter everything,
Okay.
and whatever was not acceptable, or where the throw forward was too much or something like that, they would just put the project to one side. No, it's too expensive. That's what we're trying to avoid, expensive projects that have limited multiplier effects. Whenever we spend a rupee, we have to have a high multiplier quotient.
Right.
That's what we're looking for. Spending is not the issue, wasting is an issue.
Yeah.
And not being able to get that multiplier effect. That's why I'm saying, when you look at those three ministries, you can very quickly analyze that. You can, let's say, take up 10 different projects,
Right.
10 different governance corrections that you just implement with a steel will, without, and I know I'm being very utopian here, without any consideration for political consequences. Governance is the key, and we can get this done. We've done it.
No, I know, but somehow I feel that in the end the argument will end up with being with the Defense Ministry. This is what I think you are implying. My concern is that a country which is surrounded by the rough neighborhood and which has very interesting history, somehow on autopilot we end up talking about defense or correction in defense sector. Nowhere else. I mean, come on. Yeah, your Prime Minister, your NAB is investigating actually, your Prime Minister has mentioned it. Many projects, mega projects, where money went for other reasons. Where are we going to actually, when are we going to actually focus on that?
Allow me to flip that.
Yeah.
Allow me to flip what you just said, not disregard what you just said, just flip it around. I think that's a good start, because economics has to be designated a national cause.
Yeah.
It has not. We're going to
No,
designate.
but not at the cost of national safety.
Of course not. Of course not.
Right.
It has to be part of that whole
And
construct.
in order to fully flip that, we'll have to do another program. I'm told that we have run short of time. Fahim Sardar Sahab, thank you very much for your time. Faisal Fateh Sahab, thank you very much for your time as well. Abdullah Yusuf Sahab, always a great pleasure. There were aspects that we could have covered, but I wanted to understand what is wrong with our revenue collection. I've been asking this question repeatedly in this program. Today, we dedicated a substantial part of this program to understanding that. And I got more clarity about things. I don't know whether all the stakeholders still understand what is going on, but things have to start improving very soon. And we have to start fixing our economy. It is usually, for a person like me, it is quite embarrassing that we are sitting next to two economic powerhouses and we seem to be caught in a vicious cycle when it comes to economy, that somehow we have been failing in the past to fix these problems. Let us hope with new government, with this government that is new and first time in power, we achieve those targets that we have been missing in the past. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching us. Take care.